All right, everybody. Here it is, the third and not the last, as it turns out, video in the Wayne's First Guitar Mod series. But this does end on a pretty positive note. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and let's jump into the rest of the stuff that I had to do and, well, I had to learn how to do, right? In order to mod up this guitar to get what I was after, right? I wanted to go with for a Dave Murray black strat kind of thing. I wanted that humbucker at the bridge, and then a single coil in the middle, and then another humbucker in the neck position. But I don't have the same pickups that Dave Murray had, and obviously I don't have the same brand of guitar. And I didn't want to go to the trouble of spray painting, so I'm calling this the Dave Murray Blue Strat iteration. So, all right, here we go. Like most traditional Strat type guitars, this one came with a couple of string trees, and it came with these here two string trees in particular, which I've always felt looked not good. And I thought to myself, does it make sense to hold down a string with a kind of a sharp edge? No, I don't think it does. So I'm going to put these roller string trees in here, where the string is held down not by a sharp edge, but by a curve, which makes more sense to me. And I'm going to put them both, I think, back equal with this hole there, so I can invent a logo to put up in there. And there we are. We've got our two roller string trees on there, lined up beside each other. I put a little wood filler in the hole for the original string tree, and that should dry the same color as the wood, so great. One of the several small adjustments that needs done to this here beast is smoothing out the fret ends. Now, I did that on the other side already, and I went to YouTube and watched several folks doing it several slightly different ways. And on the other side, I tried it one way, and it didn't really work out, so I tried it another way. Didn't really work out. So what I've settled on, or what I did settle on that side, was something sort of in between multiple methods. And it worked out pretty well. Now, no one is going to mistake the edges of these frets for some things that were professionally filed and rolled, okay? But they're not slicing my hand up now, at least on the one side. I took some painter's tape and ran it along the neck, right up under the bottom edge of each fret. And then I took more painter's tape, and this took actually much more time, cutting it into strips to put in between the things that come right up to the edge of each fret. So what this is doing is it is ensuring that I don't accidentally sand the neck or the fretboard, like I did just a little bit on the other side, and made myself a nice paper cut sort of a area there between the first and second frets, which I then had to carefully sand down and round out. So what I did is I've taped these things off, and I've got a sanding block. Well, it's a sanding sponge actually, and it has two sides that are coarse grit and two sides that are medium grit. And this came in a 2-pack. The other one has two sides that are medium and two sides that are fine. And I started off using the other sanding block, using the fine grit, and that just didn't do it. So I worked up, and finally I'm using the coarse side. What I'm going to do is hold this straight up and down, because I don't want to angle the thing, and just go up and down the neck quite a few times with quite a bit of force. Okay, much better. So even though I said that, the fret ends after I finished using the sanding block on them were a lot better than they were before, and they were. There were still some that were a little catchy, just a little bit sharp. So I thought, well, what the hell? As long as my cat is jumping up here and getting in the frame, Giza, thank you. Might as well give it another go. So what I did was I ran the tape, a painter's tape, right, up underneath here, not quite up to the bottom of the fret. I left just a little room because I wanted to be able to feel, right, pretty easily if there was anything sharp, anything still sort of catchy there that needed to be sanded down. And I didn't use the sanding sponge. Instead, I used this, just a regular emery board, right, for your fingernails, or somebody's fingernails. And when I'd find a jagged end like this one was, I took this emery board and instead of going straight up and down, I got down there really closely and eyeballed to see exactly where the jagged end was and exactly what its angle was. And so then I would match the angle of the emery board to to most effectively catch the jagged bit. Mostly down here where it was a lot harder to get with the sanding block. And the results were pretty good. The fret ends now are even smoother than they were before. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna call it good there. Small overcomable issue number, well, I don't remember. There's been so many. Here's the original pick guard that came on the guitar, and here is the replacement. Now you'll notice the one from Guitar Fetish looks like it's been hacked a bit. You're like, wow, they did a crap job in making that opening for the pickup, and in especially dealing with where the pick guard comes up to the neck. Oh my gosh. Well, no, they didn't do a crap job. Those looked just fine when I got the thing. But because of my poor planning, this hole was big enough for an open pickup, but not big enough for an enclosed pickup, which is what I got to go there. But rather than send the thing back, I just took a keyhole saw and enlarged that hole. And up here, originally, the edge of the pick guard up here went right across here, which is, oh, I don't know, maybe nearly a quarter of an inch higher than it is now. But it would not fit the trim system that way. So I had to cut this down quite a bit. And now that looks ugly, but that'll be underneath the neck so you can't see it. So there was that. So let's take a look at another issue now. Look at all the fabulous screw holes all around that there pick guard. Let's take it over here. Doing this with one-handed, super handy. Okay, so it's up under the neck now, and nice and tight. It's tight against it there. That still looks ugly as shit right there, but what are you gonna do? Now let's adjust this a little bit so that there's an even distance to the side of the guitar. And down here, we're doing okay where the trim is going to be. But let's take a look at the screw holes along the edge of the guitar now and see how many line up with the existing screw holes. Out of 11 screw holes, only one, where is it? There, lines up pretty well with the existing holes that are in the guitar. And even that is not exact. So I'm going to have to drill new holes. And that's fun. But I have learned from my adventure dealing with this that what I will do is first I'm going to take wood putty and very carefully fill in all these holes and then let that dry. And then I'll put the pick guard back on there. And then with those holes filled in, I will drill the new ones. So, because with the holes filled in, then hopefully I won't have that problem that I had down here with the existing hole sort of throwing the drill off a little bit. But I am just going to drill right down directly through the holes in the pick guard, so, hopefully aim won't be a problem. But there you go. Had to cut the pick guard to fit, and going to have to drill some new holes. There is the result of, 20 minutes work with tinfoil and scissors and double-sided tape. We've not covered every square centimeter of surface, but we've got most of it. So we have the electronics cavity on the front of the guitar reasonably well shielded now, I think. Now, whether that shielding is absolutely necessary is a whole other question, but I thought, what the hell? Well, we have the guts torn out, let's just do it. Because the new pick guard does not go clear down, to the edge of the hole, bridge like on a standard one, I've got an ugly strip here, so I guess I'll have to get some blue paint or something and fix that up. But I'll probably actually leave those holes just in case I ever need to do this again. Or maybe I'll just leave it like it is. People are all about the weathered look now on guitars. What do they call it? Distressed or something. So look at this. I got a distressed looking guitar and it's brand new. It appears that we finally have our trem bridge installed in more or less the correct place. And I have filed down the edges of the frets and put some aluminum foil in there for extra grounding. But right now we're going to try to put the new guts in it. I've got my pickups here. I've got my guitar harness all pre-wired and pre-soldered from Guitar Fetish. And probably most importantly, I have got my computer and the internet to help me figure this shit out. Here we go. That was a little less painful than I had expected so far. I should know better than to say things like that. But I'm using the quick plug, pre-wired, pre-soldered, I should say, harness from Guitar Fetish. So everything just plugged right in. Of course, I changed the output jack. And I fed the ground wire through that hole in the body. We'll solder that onto the claw of the trem once we get the pickguard on. Okay, neck pickup is in the pickguard. And I gotta tell you, getting the screws through the springs and then through the holes so it would stay was a bit of a tussle. If you have a third arm, now's the time to use it. And there she be. Looks good. I felt really good about this, my very first guitar mod. And that's the sound of my cat coming in to tell me that I didn't do everything quite right. Well, thank you, Giza. I appreciate your insight. Maybe you should stick around and help explain why it is that I'm now going to have to undo a bunch of this work. Okay. I have tuned and retuned these strings. Now comes the actual road test. Oh, hey. And I have an assistant. This is my granddaughter, Lucy. Are you going to help?
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. Lucy has been witness to every phase of this guitar mod experience, except this one. And I haven't witnessed this one either. We are making sound, actual sound, for the first time. Cross your fingers. Got them crossed? All right. We know this pickup does something, because it sent a signal from the guitar to the tuner, so that's good. But, let's see. That was good, wasn't it? It made noise. Cool. Let's try the middle pickup. Neck pickup. Ooh, I like that sound. I like that one. Do you like that one? I like that. Nice. And that's just fun. I honestly kind of didn't think this would work. Did you think it was going to work? No idea? All right. Fair enough. Well, all right then. My first guitar mod project. And it all works. Right on. Okay, so, yeah, the pickups all work. There's no horrible, nasty hum going on that I can discover. Let's see, what else to tell you about here? Despite what I said I was not going to do, I did replace the tuning machines. I put in a set of Hipshot locking tuners, and I don't know if you can see, they got this nice bracket there that makes it easy to put them in, so that was good. One easy thing about this whole experience. And yeah, so I'm hoping that between the locking tuners and the roller string trees and the Wilkinson trem bridge, I'll have some pretty good stability for some whammy bar abuse. Ah, but Wayne, you're saying, that's not the Wilkinson bridge. Ah, good observation, my friend. Indeed, it's not. I thought I had things ready to go. I gave that little cry of triumph at the end of the last video because I thought, hey, it's all lined up. Look at that. The Wilkinson saddles are lined up with the holes where the screws were from the original trem bridge, and I put the strings on, and it still was not right. So I thought, what the hell? So I pulled out the Wilkinson bridge, and I put in, please don't touch the camera. Thank you, sweetheart. I pulled out the Wilkinson bridge. I put the original back in there, and, well, okay, you can't see it this way, so I'm going to cut another piece of video in right now. Up at the nut, it's barely noticeable, but as you move down the neck, you notice that high E string gets closer and closer and closer and closer to the edge of reality, as it were, while the low E string gets farther and farther away, until by the time we're down here at the 22nd fret, that high E string is right at the very edge of the fret. The original bridge was not positioned correctly. So yeah, so I'm going to have to pull this out and put in the other bridge and position it myself. But there's kind of a problem, which is that I have drilled and filled and re-drilled and refilled underneath here so many times, it is just a mess. In fact, I don't know if you can tell that I've only got 4 screws holding this original trim in, because there's just a crater under where the screw would be on each of the far sides. So I'm going to have to pull that out and put in a couple of dowels, or more likely, just cut out that whole big chunk of wood and glue in a new block of wood there, and then put the new trim system in using my own measurements, not relying on anybody else's pre-existing screw holes, and see how it goes from there. So yeah, also, I didn't play very much here. I know, you didn't notice, but there it is. That's because, maybe you can see, there's no lights on this here PV Viper 75 modeling amplifier. That's because, although this is what I've been using during my infrequent playing for the past decade, it quit working, just all of a sudden. I think it's blown a fuse. Apparently that's very common in these. And so what I'm using is my PV Bandit 65, which is below this one, that I bought brand spanking new in 1983. And it sounds like it. So, yeah, and since PV apparently does not return queries about service anymore, judging from the fact that I've sent them several and I've gotten no response, I guess I'll just have to fix this myself. And we've seen how good I am at that kind of thing. So, not really anxious to do it, but I suppose, the sooner the better. But my point, I got all 3 of these pickups, right, from Guitar Fetish. This is the Extra Vintage Hot pickup, which is just the initials for Eddie Van Halen swapped around. This is supposed to be your classic Brown sound pickup. This middle one is supposed to sound just like a classic Fender middle single coil pickup. And this top one, I think, is called Crunchy Rails. And I like the sound of that pickup just from what I heard here a minute ago. So I'm kind of anxious to play around with that. So when I get the amplifier fixed and I can get actually a decent tone, then we'll do a little more playing around here and really explore the difference between the sounds of these 3 pickups. And hell, maybe by that time I'll actually have my Wilkinson bridge on there, like I'm hoping to. Okay, everybody, that is what I have got. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. I really appreciate the support that you have shown during this ordeal. And I call it an ordeal, right? But, I mean, I chose to do it, and all in all, it was fun. And, oh, by the way, if any luthiers are watching this, respect. Well, I didn't think it was going to be easy to mod the guitar. I also didn't think it was going to be so hard as it was. So, yeah, luthiers, right on. My respect for you is now through the roof. So, okay. Thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you soon.